That's young.
I'd like to call this regular board meeting of May 24th, 2004 to order. May I please have roll call?
Miss White?
Yes.
Mr. Minkevich?
Here.
Miss Roscoe? Here. Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Miss Buckley? Here. Miss Lanasi?
Present.
Miss Frere's present.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge Mr. Carr, is there any changes in the agenda?
Yes, we will delete the executive session tonight.
Okay. May I have a,
Madam Chair, so moved that we accept the agenda as amended.
Support.
thank you. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, the minutes from our previous meeting, can I have a motion on that, please?
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Support.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the minutes? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Mr. Carr.
Mr. Clark, personnel actions.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Members of the board, we have several personnel actions for you tonight. Our first one is a four-year information. There's a leave of absence for Ms. Stephanie Waggle, who will be attending Eastern Michigan University to complete her education. It's a one-year leave, effective for the 04-05 school year. Our next personnel recommendation is a four-year information, is resignation of Ms. Gail Sheliff. Gail was our payroll retirement coordinator, effective May 17th, 04.
Was not the one recently hired?
Yes, the one recently hired. Our next four-year information is a retirement of Ms. Phyllis Kraft, paraprofessional at Corey Elementary School. And our final personnel recommendation is an addendum. Motion is needed by the board to accept the resignation of personnel as submitted. The resignation of Ms. April Woods, special education teacher at the middle school, effective June 11, 2004.
Can I have a motion on this, please?
Madam Chairman.
Madam
Go
Chair,
ahead.
I make a motion that we accept the resignation of personnel as submitted.
Thank you,
I'll support.
thank you. Any questions on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Mr. Ruth here, bills for payment, please.
Superintendent Carr, President Lanasi, members of the Board of Education, we have for your approval and review 5 registers for payment of bills. The sum of the payment before you this evening is $647,602.67.
can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion, we accept the bills for payment.
Support.
Okay, now are there any questions? No questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, your bills are paid.
Thank you.
Mr. Ruth here, go ahead with Sodexo.
The last item we have is an FYI. The Sodexo folks have hired a food service director. It's Melissa Bovaza, and she comes with a BS in food service, and from Mercy College, has approximately 20-plus years' experience in the field. She was at another assignment, although it was not a school assignment prior to ours, and we're most encouraged by her resume. Mr. Clark and I met with her pretty extensively along with her boss, and are just informing the board as to this recommendation.
Okay,
Madam Chairman,
Go
when
ahead.
is this food contract up?
It's one of 5 years. The current year will expire at the end of June.
Now, we're going to post that or put out for bids?
But it's our choice if we want to do that or not.
We're in about the third year of that 5 year, aren't we?
This is the first year. We're
First
just
year.
completing the first year.
Okay,
Wait a minute.
so, what you're saying is that in June, if we didn't want this company, we could change it. When would we have to say, vote to have it changed? Could we do it in June, or does it have to be done 30 days prior, or what?
The original agreement was for 1 to 5 years.
I understand that, but you just said,
I believe the contract expires the end of June.
yeah,
So if it's the intent of the board to solicit bids, then I need to do that.
how far ahead of time do you need to know that?
Well, obviously, the sooner the better.
Okay,
Do it now.
'Cause I guess I missed something, because I was under the impression it was a one-year contract, and that at the end of this year, it was back up for bid.
Well, it can be renewed each year. You
It
can
can
go out
be-
to bid at our choice. We can go to
extend-
bid, and we can go to bid
Well-
and choose to stay with them or go with somebody else. I mean, we can do that. We don't need a board action to do that. If you want us to go out and look further, we can do that.
Yeah, sure.
I think so.
yeah, I
From
do
all the
too.
complaints
I
I've
do
had,
too.
Cafeteria, I've gotten a lot of phone calls, and they've been bad.
It's been a bad year.
You know, because I've called you, Bill, on a lot of this stuff.
In defense though of Sodexo, our counts have been higher than they've been in some time. And the variety of food, the students really like the choices that are being made. One could argue that maybe there are too many, but there's a lot of participation, and the reason you have participation is because they like the product.
Let me make a suggestion. Why don't we get the principals to survey the kids that are participating in this? A simple survey, half page or something like that, 4 or 5 questions that they'd answer, and get that information back within the next couple of weeks. And then
Survey the students.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we'll survey this, I think, some of us have been hearing from employees who have had changes because we've had change in management, because we were unhappy with the first person. We've had some things occur in management that's been an issue.
well, I've had some contact from elementary principals not happy with portions of the food. One incident was specifically brought up was one about Sloppy Joe's, that what they actually got was a very small piece of meat on a bun. It was not a Sloppy Joe at all, and the portion was very small for elementary students.
This was like a hamburger or something they put on?
Yeah, it was supposed to be
instead
Sloppy Joe's, and it turned out to just be a chunk of meat.
Mhm.
I've heard a lot of complaints about lack of condiments, things like ketchup and mustard and things
Yeah.
like that,
A
that
lot of that.
are not getting ordered.
Well, why don't we do that?
And how many entrees we have?
Yeah, no,
That was a big one.
because I asked last time, I think, about that, when we cut back on employees, that we were gonna cut back, I thought, on the entrees.
Mhm.
And
And it didn't
what I'm
happen.
finding out is
We've
not
cut back on
happening.
employees.
We haven't
Yeah.
cut back on employees.
Well, you
I
haven't
thought we didn't
replaced.
fill
No.
something.
No, not in cafeteria.
Well, you haven't replaced.
There's,
If
If
there's
we
something.
haven't, it's because we don't have people to replace, but it's not our intent to cut back.
Okay, then maybe we said it the wrong way. There is one person that's short in the
Yeah.
junior high.
Right.
Yeah,
That may be, but remember.
and they still have got 10 entrees that they gotta get done. And I personally myself told them, do what you can do. If you can only get 7 done, you get 7 done.
Well,
you
I
know.
think it's 7, to be honest with you, were the number of offerings. But we have talked with them, but, it takes time for all of this to get back through the system and to make changes. We've already changed and cut back on hours in the breakfast program. Even though the counts were up, we scaled it back because hours were being added. And part of the problem is that we were serving a warm breakfast. Now, you can't have, your cake and eat it too. If you want participation to be there, the more interesting you make it for students, the better participation you're gonna get. So in order to cut back hours, we took out the warm breakfast, so now we just have cereal, like we've had in the past, and thereby we reduced hours. And we have instituted that. As far as Ms. Lanassi's comment about the number of entrees, we have talked to them. And we are working to do that. But it just doesn't happen overnight. It takes time for us to get the staff together, meet, and develop changes. Mr. Clark and I, before the Easter recess, had a pretty extensive meeting with our cafeteria folks at the high school. And we're still working through the process of changes that were recommended at that point. We have, since that meeting occurred, we've had food slicers for fruit placed in every building to help the staff make that more efficient transition so that it's easier to prepare, easier to put out. I mean, these are things that are recommendations that have been made to us, but it takes time for us to smooth over some of these wrinkles, if you will. Have we had problems? Yes. But we've tried to step forward to make corrections to the problems that we've had. And this is a profitable operation. I think you would be surprised, based on the information that I've seen at June 30th, it's very favorable. Is that the only criteria? Of course not. Obviously, we want our students to be happy and satisfied with what we have. But, you know, these are considerations, and all of this is coming into play. We are responding to your wishes as well as the staff. I just want you to be aware of that.
You know, I know we're here for the students, and I feel that's a very important thing. But I also feel that we should keep our employees happy too, that we shouldn't have disgruntled employees. And I can't understand if you want 5 entrees instead of 10 entrees, you just eliminate something tomorrow. I can't understand why that should take so long, Bill.
Well, it takes some discussion, because we don't just go back and immediately say, you know, do away with this. There are effects of what you do. I mean, there's always a reaction to a situation, and so quite often Mr. Clark and I, or sometimes even just I, will meet with the principal and staff members to discuss these things. What you don't want to do is to turn people off and destroy a program that's now starting to function. Remember, the people that were here, Airmark, were here for probably 15 years. Anytime you have change, there's always going to be resistance to change. And that's occurred. And it's unfortunate that we've had a couple of food service managers. But, you know, in the last year or two with Airmark, we had 2 or 3. So it's not uncommon. It's just unfortunate that it had to happen with the new food service management company in the first year of operation.
And I would think that you would not want to arbitrarily reduce the entrees just to satisfy perhaps the workload of some employees who are complaining and do a disservice to our students.
Well,
All right?
It really depends on who
I
you
wouldn't want
talk
to do that.
Because if you talk to Mr. Kimbrough, he thinks it's the greatest thing going.
Yeah, I know,
So it
Kimbrough
just
does.
matters who you talk to.
but referring to the middle school, the entree problem, is there was somebody that I think left the middle school, maybe went to an elementary
Yeah,
or something?
elementary, yeah.
And the gal that's training this Melissa, I talked to today at the high school, and she says, well, we had to go over to the middle school a few times and help out because they're shorthanded.
Yeah.
And if you keep the 10 entrees, you know,
Yeah.
they can't keep up.
Mr. McCavage, the volume of work is there, whether it's 5 entrees or 8 entrees. The argument is, it's still, the time to prepare food is going to be the same, it's just that the offerings are different. But they're production items. I mean, there's things that they have to do. But what they are very cautious of and mindful of is to make sure that they're getting production for the time that's there. And a lot of time, that's where the rub is. Because they have great expectations of people, because they want them to work for the time that they're there. And management style is different, and expectations are different.
Madam Chair, may I just make a suggestion? Joel, you talked about doing a survey. Would it be possible if you would survey the principals in the school to get feedback from them about the food service, just in terms of the quality? I think all those other issues we maybe can work through, but I mean, if there's something terribly wrong with the quality of the food,
Survey
then-
the principals rather than the kids.
Right, I would suggest that. They
Well,
run those buildings, they're in oversight capacities, and maybe look at it that way.
Yes, we can do that.
I mean, to me, that would
I
be
think we got about
instead of-
3 weeks till our next board meeting. There's
Well,
plenty of
that's-
time. We can
I was just
get
going to say
information.
now, are we running into a time problem here at all? If we wait
No.
till the next board meeting to decide if we're going to go out for bids or not? I mean, do we have a deadline or a point where we have to
These
notify
folks want-
Sodexo?
These folks want work, and they'll scramble like heck to try to get our business.
Yeah, but do we
Even if
have to,
Even if we make a decision in the middle of June.
but what I'm saying is, do we have a timeline when we're supposed to say to Sodexo yes or no? I mean, is
Yeah.
there a point in that contract?
Well, Mr. Akevich, I'll look at the contract. If we're not gonna renew, we'll have to put them on notice, and we can do that. As I recall, you folks the board didn't adopt the proposal till like in August or the tail end of July. So there probably is sufficient time for us to go to the marketplace.
Mhm.
I just need to know, I need to review what the notice is in the Sodexo contract.
If the notice is required, we'll go ahead and give them notice that we're going to take a look. And we can do that. We don't need you to tell us.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I don't want us to run to a point where
Oh, I
all of a
agree.
sudden we're
Right.
in violation of something or have done
Right.
something, that
And,
we didn't want.
Well, if we're not in violation of something already, we'll do it. Okay?
and again, Joe, can I just say
We'll get
that
the
we
questions.
focus on quality right now and not on really disgruntled employees, not let that be the focus. Just
Yes.
deal with the quality.
We're here for the kids. That's what we're all here
Thank you.
for.
Madam Chair, and I think we still should survey the students.
Survey the students
I
and
think
the,
we should
Oh,
do both.
I think,
President
yeah, I
Tibby
think
is-
that's what she meant. Isn't that what you meant, Naomi?
Yeah, you can do both, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, don't,
But definitely hit the building principals. is
Yeah.
Right.
Her main,
without their input.
Yeah.
okay?
And technically, what we only have this week and next week, because the following week for the middle school and the high school are half-days, except for Monday.
It's really simple. I mean, 3,
But-
4, 5 questions.
That's right. That's no
Won't be
problem.
that difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Dolan. Board presentation. Somewhere, there's Mr. Hoffman. He's-
There's Mr. Hoffman. Are you ready, Doug, or do we need to you guys all set? We are ready. I can see the. You can hear it?
They're chomping at the
Their
bit.
nose
Hey,
is on the
We
glass.
saw him making faces through the glass. He's making faces.
I was cracking up.
Okay, what did they make this year?
We need to move probably more chairs, yeah. Oh, how neat.
Doug, you can introduce.
this can pick up the ball. There's
Uh-oh.
There's a mic there.
Oh, they'll get it.
Should be a mic and you need to
Mic.
get it. You need to tell them back there, I think, in the back room.
It's right there, the mic.
But they want the overhead on. Okay, he's getting it for you.
Oh. That's neat.
There goes our audience.
That's a good.
Normal driver couldn't be here tonight, so we're having one of the engineers drive,
That's encouraging.
and the engineers think they know what they're doing. But I'm telling you, our kids are pretty good.
Yeah, you can see that. Uh-oh.
Have to move that chair. Yeah.
The compressor gonna stay off? Yeah. Okay. Well.
Doug, take the
There's a
mic.
mic and then
Isn't that your son? He's grown, though. He's grown a lot.
Thanks for this, I don't know if this is on.
It doesn't sound like it, Doug.
Steve.
Uh,
Oh, Steve.
There you go.
Hit all the buttons. Well, it's our pleasure to be here tonight to just bring the robot in and bring the robotics team, at least those that could be here. We had a slight injury to one of our members the other day. Jonathan fell and broke his ankle, and so he's Jonathan Wilkerson, so he was unable to be here. But basically, I'd like to introduce the staff that's involved. Andy Stewart, science teacher at high school. Jane Johnston, math teacher at the high school, and David Cooper, technology teacher at the high school. And this project is a culmination of everything that we have worked for in terms of bringing multiple disciplines together to actually demonstrate the skill and abilities that the kids have in designing and building a robot. We certainly couldn't do this without some engineering help, and from General Motors, we have Kevin Gay here, and he's one of the chief engineers, and he's helped us with this project. You have to imagine that when this first started, in the first weekend in January, we received 2 75-pound buckets of parts, okay, pieces of metal and wire and screws and an idea, a concept of what this robot was supposed to accomplish, and we had 7 weeks to build it in. And without, how many? 6, actually. Thank you. And without everyone's input into the design and the construction, we wouldn't have been successful, but it's been a very successful team. So at this point, I think Mr. Cooper has a PowerPoint that he'd like to show.
I'd just like to go over a few things of what we're part of with the FIRST organization, some of the things we go through, and at the very end, we have Wallace put together a little slideshow, some pictures to show what we've gone through the past 6 weeks, show the camaraderie of all the students and the teachers. Romulus, the high school robotics, we are Team 326. That is our call number. To everybody else, all the students, it's amazing to go around at the competitions and see, who are you? Well, we're Team 326. Oh, we're Team, 37. We're Team, 1028. That's who you are and what you're known by. Is just the fact of your team number. Not really too much your names, but the team numbers. 326 is something the kids, will keep to them. We are part of the FIRST organization. FIRST stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. It's a national organization that schools throughout the whole entire nation, and including Canada, all participate in for this. Our team motto currently that was made up by Terry Bird was think it, design it, and build it, just to show what essence that how we think and that we should put forth towards the robotics. A little something about FIRST. The FIRST robotics competition challenges teams of students and their mentors to solve a common problem in 6 weeks. Like Mr. Hoffman said, we're given a box, 2 boxes of materials, and they say, okay, go build your robot. They show a video, and actually I can't play. I wish I had the video that they showed us, but I can't play on this because it doesn't have QuickTime installed on it. But they show you a video and a demonstration of what the whole entire competition is. The game changes every single year, so you can kind of go off of what you previously learned, but it's a whole new robot that you have to start from scratch. And the way that FIRST helps the students is in the competition, it's not all about just dominating your opponent. A lot of you maybe have seen the Robot Wars that you see on TV. Okay? And it's not like that at all. You don't go out there and you can't destroy another robot. You actually get penalized if you destroy another robot. The whole competition, the way the scoring works is you get not only your points, but you also get your opponent's points. So it helps, so that you just don't completely dominate them. You want to kind of help them out just a little, but not enough so that you completely dominate them. Right now, there are 26 regional events and a championship event. The championship event this year was held in Atlanta, Georgia, which we actually attended this year based off of previous accomplishments. FIRST redefines the winning of these students. Teams are rewarded for their excellence in design, demonstrated team spirit, gracious professionalism and maturity, and the ability to overcome obstacles. There are a lot of awards that you go out, not just winning with the robot, but there are chairman awards, which they have to accomplish throughout the year, essays that they have to write throughout the year. When you want to go out there and, along with going out not just trying to dominate, you want to show a team attitude. When you're what's called the pit, there are all the teams down there with all their toolboxes, their robots in between the competitions, and accidents happen. Robot's going to break down, and you've got to be able to repair it. not always do you have all the equipment you have because you can only carry so much equipment with you. And it's amazing to see teams going from one team to the next, asking for some help, asking for some tools that you had. And you don't want to be the one on the team that says, no, you can't use my tool. You know, you've got to be able to share and be able to accept, show the students, by our attitudes of helping out the other teams, saying, yes, of course you can use that. And actually, was it this year that we received an award for being able to help out other teams? I should have brought the awards. We received a couple individual awards that not only did FIRST give out, but actually other schools decided to give to us. This year's game, the object of the game was to obtain a higher score than your opponents, obviously, than your alliance. And what's nice about what FIRST does is you have an alliance. It's not only you that competes against another robot. It's you and your partner, your alliance member, versus another 2 robots. And you don't know who that opponent is until that day. So you only get that amount of time of that day to strategize with your alliance member. You want to deliver the large balls, which are the yellow balls that you see right there, into the goals and the capping goals. It's kind of hard to see up there, but there were 2 goals. Stationary ones and movable goals. The robots could move the 2 movable goals, and it obviously couldn't move the stationary goals. You had these smaller balls, were about the size of dodgeballs, and it was the first year that I saw that there was actually a human part of the game where they actually shot the balls, kind of like shooting basketball, into the goals. And this year, actually, Deborah Anderson, kind of a little bit of a ringer. She's on the varsity girls basketball team. We kind of, helped ask her apart to say, hey, can you shoot the balls for us, just to get another aspect of another member in the school to be a part of it. And she actually received an award from another school saying, hey, you know what, you did a very good job. Here's an award for your shooting skills. The point values for each of those actions are explained below. If you got the yellow ball on top of the goal, you got double whatever small balls you had in there. The small balls were worth 5 points. And then one of the very final aspects of the game was there was a pole 10 feet above in the air. Your robot, and actually we accomplished it, was you hook onto it and you have to support your robot up on top of the pole. It can be pretty challenging, and with all the different last 20 seconds of a game, all the other robots are trying to get up there because that was 100 points this year, 50 points this year to get up there. That was actually the most exciting part of the game. Not so much as scoring the balls, but seeing the robots all compete for who's got the leverage to get up there. The competitions that we actually went to this year, we went to 3 of them. The Great Lakes, which was in Ypsilanti, Michigan, which we traveled back and forth to. The Buckeye Regional, which was in Cleveland, Ohio, which we stayed for 2 nights and 2 days. And the Nationals, which was in Atlanta, Georgia, which we stayed for 4 nights and 3 days. For each of those competitions, we had to raise the money to be able to get there and for the students to eat. Scholarships, which I actually want to show, which is one of the best aspects of this, is there are countless opportunities for all the students to get scholarships. Right now, this is from the first web page that I just wanted to show really quick of all the possible opportunities for scholarships. This is from 2003, and just shows you the value that the scholarships get and who gives out the scholarship, the award winners, and their team numbers. There are, just a $6,000 per year scholarship for in college, which everyone knows that college is extremely expensive. All those 6,000 scholarships, $7,500, $8,000, $10,000 scholarship, $5,000, $12,000, full tuition scholarships they actually give out, and then $10,500 up to $23,500, and so on. And there's a couple scholarships that they still have to get out. The students have to apply to them. All the time that FIRST will email Mr. Hoffman then emails myself, Mr. Stewart, and Ms. Johnson with all the scholarship opportunities that arrive for the students. We hand them over to the students, and the students just have to fill out. It's just like an essay. There's like any other scholarship to do it. But they get special recognition for it and special opportunities for it because of the fact that they are part of the FIRST competition. And our sponsor, like I said, was GM Powertrain. This year, GM donated to us $13,000. Sounds like a whole bunch of money, but that $13,000 covered our entry fee and our materials just for those 3 competitions. It's $5,000 for the first competition and $4,000 per competition after that. So this is something that is pretty expensive. Not counting all the money that GM also donated to us throughout the part.
Other expenses were over $100,000 this year, other than that
And then something that Wallace put together for you, just to show. The pictures are taken both at the competition and in the robotics room through the building and also in the pit. It does that every now and then.
Sounds like it's broken.
That was our ringer, Deborah Anderson.
If you guys notice, you'll see a mixture of males and females, black and white, that come together in a way that other teachers come and mention how well we mix, how everyone works together.
Just drank some.
We shaved his head for one of the competitions, and he really got into it. I helped.
Okay, I want to mention something quickly. When, and I came here for an objective, I wanted you to know this. Charles Kidwell came into my room last year, before all this started, and he wanted to talk to me about true-to-life work. GM asked me to put together a team with a business accountant, a public relations person, an art person, a video person. We have to use the GM sheets for all of the accounting requests. We train the students on the GM sheets. We train them to look for the hotels for public relation, for human resources. They do that themselves. We train them to write their own papers. We train them how to run a business. And it's their job to come up with the fundraising. It's their job to run their own department. And if they need people for their department, it's their job to recruit them. And Kidwell said to me, oh my God, because he looked around the room and he saw people on the phone contacting businesses, others looking at hotel and travel costs and coming up with a spreadsheet, some taking care of all the parts required for GM, because GM requires a lot of paperwork. In fact, we've got the business teacher helping us next year. All these people are doing that on their own in ways that's amazing to me. Because when I started this, I didn't think they could, but they did. And when I'd call him on Saturday night, 10 o'clock, I'd say, Kevin, where are you? He'd say, at the school, working with all the kids. Not all of them, but a small core. I'd say Sunday at 4 in the afternoon. Some of the kids would call me and say, Mrs. Johnston, I need to get back to the high school to work some more. So I'd have to drive and get them and bring them over there if they didn't have transportation. They worked for 6 weeks until 10 o'clock at night every night to make this work because they did what had to be done. And they did it by themselves. Now, the ones that could show up today are Wallace. He's our video man. He did all of the video throughout the entire competition, every picture, everything. Philip Roscoe, like tonight when we didn't get the robot here on time, he ran back to the high school to get it. To get it. He is the person that makes it happen if it doesn't happen. Eric Poet, he has been there for 2 years now, more hours than I can ever imagine. They make this happen, and the ones that aren't here, the ones you saw in the video, have worked harder than I've ever seen students work. And every year I swear I'm going to quit and never come back. But it's the best thing I've ever done. And working with Mr. Stewart, Mr. Cooper, and Mr. Hoffman is wonderful. But working with Kevin, I am scared to death he's going to quit someday. Anyway, thank you for listening to me. We appreciate you spending the time. And I also appreciate the fact that I saw a lot of you this year at our dinner. Thank you very much. Some offered to help. Thank you. And you were very supportive this year. Thank you very much.
I could just like to elaborate a little bit on what Jane said. We tried to run it like a business, like somebody when they got out of school, if they worked for a business, what they'd have to do. We went through drawings, build the materials, how much material they would need, costs for all the parts. We're just given the motors, the controller, the battery. We got to figure out the rest. We went through gear ratios, all the stuff that they would ever need to know on how to build a machine. This is pretty much a machine in 6 weeks to build. GM can't buy a machine and get it built in 6 months, let alone 6 weeks. So it's a big undertaking for the kids, and they learn a lot. Go from programming, design. It's just a great program for all the students, and I'm really glad to be involved in it. So.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. Are there any questions?
They did a marvelous job. I'm so proud.
You can,
In more ways than you can say. Not just you people here, but everybody. This is great.
A good sense of team.
Yeah.
can you demonstrate picking up the ball?
Sure.
Can it throw it, Doug?
What do you guys want to describe the arm a little bit, how it works?
I just love this.
On the arm, we used to have a big, huge cylinder on the back that was used with the hook to pull us up, but then we figured out that that was just causing us weight problems and it wasn't really helping all that much. So we added a winch over here to help it, and we figured out that that worked better than all of the other stuff. So that's what happened.
The problem we're having now is we were playing with the robot, and they crashed two robots together, and we lost a little screw in there. So I took a piece of bubble gum about 2 minutes ago, and I stuck it on the pneumatic system, which does not completely solve the issue. So when we get back, we'll put our screw back in. But normally it picks it up very well if you're not trying to hold it together with bubble gum.
Thank you, folks.
Maybe I'll talk for a minute about the arm. You had heard earlier that the pull-up was worth 50 points, and at our first regional event, this could win the game, just doing the pull-up. So it was interesting to see everybody's designs as they tried and evolved a little bit, and we had the design that every winning team had. The winch was the only way to go. This machine weighs about 130 pounds. So to do a pull-up from a bar that's actually closer to 12 feet high is pretty impressive. I think that's all I've got to say on that.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Totally
you.
amazing.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Good job, guys. Driving out. Good job, Mr. Cooper.
Missed her part of the program. I'm sure she was here to find out about this.
Hey, Mr. Dolan,
We
meet results.
We
Aye.
received
Thank you.
our preliminary meet results. We are always somewhat guarded about overinterpreting any one-year test. Based on the data, we did extremely well in the elementary schools, going up 18 points in the language arts, 18 points in math. We were above state average in math, just about at state average in reading. On a school basis, I think Ramel was really they did extremely well. They were the highest scoring school in language arts, science, and social studies. Did very, very, very well. For being our biggest elementary school, too, we were very pleased. But in general, we were very pleased. They reflect recognizing that everybody's on the same curriculum, recognizing that we all have common assessments, recognizing that all our teachers and principals have worked very, very hard using the same strategies and collaborating. So in relationship to implementation, there's very little difference from school to school. The only change would be the kids from school to school. In middle school, we didn't do as well as we would have liked. Each school now is in the process of, and I'm meeting with the principals this week. They've been working on the whole year on their North Central goals and their strategies on a school-wide basis. Every school will have 3 goals: increasing reading, increasing writing, increasing math. They've all been researching it, developing professional development, and the school improvement plans will be implemented in the fall. On a positive note, in many respects, it's probably the highest scores we've had in reading, the language, and math at the elementary level, which is a good indicator for the future. As a comparison, and Joe and I hesitate to compare test scores, but in relationship to other school districts, we did extremely well, and we were higher than school districts that were higher than us in the past.
But this is still a high-stakes test given over a few days, and it's a snapshot in time of what's happening at that particular point in time. It does not totally reflect what's going on in our schools. There are a lot of great things going on in our schools.
As evidenced by the robotics tonight.
As evidence, a lot of things are going on that are very, very good in character building and all the important things in terms of decision-making and other parts of education. So it's a test, and I've not been in favor of this kind of testing, and I still feel that way, even though we've scored higher this time than we have in the past.
Questions?
Real quick, I think it's just a typing mistake. Under their elementary, under social studies,
I knew you'd find
the
that.
difference.
I just saw it too.
It should be
-5.
-5?
Should be -5.
Okay.
Yep. I said, "Can I get me on that one?" I just looked at that. When we're looking at North Central, we use 3 different type of assessments to gauge our progress, and me being one of those. The other is the Iowa and a local assessment. Questions? Okay. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Well, this brings us to communications and expressions from the public, which we don't have. So moving right along.
Items of interest from the superintendent are self-explanatory. You'll notice there's a proposal in there for a trip to Quebec. We'll be back with a specific request at the beginning of next year relative to that trip. Those are the kinds of things we're doing now, instead of having students go to Europe in light of world affairs. And there are many very fine things we can do here in North America that work. And we're glad to see that this is moving on. You'll also notice a communication from Middle Cities relative to what's going on in state financing and state legislature. I got another communication today we'll put into the next board packet from our lobbying consortium with Dennis Cawthorn. It reflects much of the same kind of information. And things do not look real strong at this point in time. We are subject at this point to the possible reduction for this year of $30 a student. We are hoping against hope, or $29 it shows in this particular situation. We're looking at the possibility of losing $29 to $30 per student. We've got over 4,000 students. 4,000 times 30 gets you up to $120,000 real fast. Hopefully that will not occur. They may push it off to next year, but it does not bode well for future finance. Things in the state of Michigan are not going well in terms of the economy that's needed to support the schools. Our legislature put Proposal A into operation about 10, 11 years ago now. And with a strong economy, they've been able to make it work for the first 8 or 9 years. But next year will be the third year in a row that there will be the same funding. And it's hard to run any operation with no increase in funding per pupil. So we are looking very closely at to run our district as responsibly as possible and to take little or nothing from the students at this point. So we're working very hard with that. We will keep you posted as more information develops. That's all I have tonight.
Okay.
Madam Chairman.
And before I turn it over to my colleagues, there's a couple things I want to bring up. June 1st, before I say that, we have really nothing real big going on our plates this coming week. So get a lot of rest. Because the following week, I would like to see as many as my colleagues at June 1st, the middle school awards. June 2nd, we have the prom toast. That's the fun part of our job. Seeing all of our kids all dressed up. June 3rd, we have adult education at 7 p.m. June 4th, we have our senior breakfast, Doubletree, 10:30. And June 5th, we have graduation at 10 o'clock. We also have our, I didn't bring that with me. We have our elementary moving out, that you all have been selected which schools you wanted to go to. So if you have any questions, I do have it at home. I thought I brought it with me, but I didn't. I'm sorry about that. Okay, board, any questions or concerns?
I'll bring up, I was at the high school today, and my understanding on the yearbook, it's there. It's going to be distributed tomorrow, not after graduation.
Did you look at it?
No, I did not see it. I was just talking to some people, and they said that it did come in, that it would be distributed tomorrow. And my understanding is all the yearbooks are paid for, that the students had to pay for them before they would order them. And sounds like it's moving in the right direction. The only thing I guess we had two different companies. One that did the middle school yearbook, and a different company that did the high school yearbook. And to me, it seems like we'd be better off dealing with one, so I don't know. I'm assuming we have the same yearbook teacher for next year that came in and bailed us out from a year ago, because what I'm understanding, a year ago, the yearbook lost money. This one has made money. So, I mean, it's a big turnaround for 1 year for a person stepping in. So I'm hopeful we'll keep the same person and
There's
keep
going to
that
be a
program
problem.
going.
There's going to be a problem on that issue. There's been some conflict between the principal and the yearbook director, and questions about who's in charge and who's not in charge there. And that unfortunately, that may not work out. The teacher is having issues, and the principal is having issues with the teacher. That may not work out. I hope that it can be rectified, but I have doubts at that at this point.
Have they met at all, or?
Yes, they have met, and the last I heard was that there would be, the person has chosen not to continue during the yearbook.
Do we have anybody?
We have someone else who can step in and will be given the proper in-service if that stays as it is. And I assume that that's probably pretty final the way it is. So there's a lot of positives in what has happened. There's some negatives. And it's a situation that is being addressed.
Anyone else?
Well, we do have a middle school band concert Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. So if you can make it, I'm sure they'll appreciate you coming out. Usually the end of the year concert, they have a lot of
This is
extra
at
little
the,
things going on. Middle school.
Middle school.
Middle school, 7 o'clock.
There's one for the high school on
Wednesday.
Thursday, I think, also, isn't there?
oh, that's the 26th.
Band concert.
There's something all week. Yeah.
Yeah.
We know
There's
that.
something all week, all kind of.
Wednesday's that thing for
High
Mary.
Last
school,
week,
high
Thursday.
school is last week.
But
No,
that's
there's,
till 5 o'clock.
there's vocal concerts and band concerts.
It's all on the schedule.
Yeah, it's all
And
week.
just to give you a quick update, Mark Woodson's doing the first orientation with incoming 7th graders, current 6th graders, with their parents and kids sometime this week, I think, and the same with incoming
Tuesday.
9th graders.
Tomorrow night.
So he's really trying to do, step out and get the parents and kids involved.
That was with 7th graders?
Incoming 7th graders and
Incoming?
incoming 9th graders, yep. 2 different nights, I believe.
No, I think it's just one night.
Is it just one night?
Yeah, I think he's doing both of them.
Okay.
I've got the,
Going along with that also, we're going to offer the season ticket for spectators
Call it
for
the
all
Buckley
sports for
Award?
$50. We didn't have real heavy participation this year, but it'll cover all
Can't
sports
beat
next
that.
year and be $50.
Pardon me? Is that the
$50 for a
family
year.
one you're talking about?
It's per person.
That's for all sports.
The all sports pass, right?
It was 45 for half a year last year, so 50 is a great deal.
Okay. I'm good.
Tommy's doing both 7th and 9th graders.
Same night?
Same night, tomorrow night, Tuesday night at 7 o'clock
Okay.
at the high school in the gym.
Great.
That's all we have, Madam Chairman.
Okay. Any other questions? Can I have a motion, please, to adjourn?
I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7:23.